And we are back. It's so good to have everyone back after a breather. I hope everyone has their cup of joe for the next segment of Marketing Refocus because we're about to dive into some fascinating insights on AI analytics. In the past, marketers had to rely on manual testing and data analysis to fine tune their campaigns. But with the sheer amount of data and complexity of modern campaigns, manually optimizing your marketing campaigns is no easy feat. And that's where AI analytics comes to your rescue. So, how does AI analytics help in scaling and optimizing your campaigns? To answer this and more, coming up next is another power packed fireside chat. To facilitate this session, I am excited to invite on this virtual stage Lavish Verma, Lead Data Engineer Analytics at Grizzy. He has over 8 years of experience in data science, engineering, and data analytics across various industries. With a passion for problem solving and solution design, Lavish consistently delivers results that exceed expectations. So, here's Lavish with a fireside chat scaling and optimizing campaign testing with the power of AI. Take it away, Lavish.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Monali. I welcome all of you to this fireside chat. So let's get started. Today, more than ever, businesses collect a hefty amount of data. With the rise of digital channels and proliferation of customer touchpoints, there's no shortage of information available for businesses to use in optimizing their campaigns. However, the sheer volume of data can be overwhelming, and traditional methods of analysis may not be sufficient to extract meaningful insights. That's where AI analytics come in. By leveraging the power of machine learning and other advanced algorithms, business can scale and optimize their campaign testing efforts to achieve better results than ever before. We are excited to dive more into this and demystify some of the concepts associated with AI with our incredible panelist, John Robinson. He's the chief storyteller who loves to mentor people from high school to all the way up to marketing veterans. For each client's unique situation, John believes in defining a solution that's best suited for the situation, environment, and resources. Thank you for joining us, John.
Glad to be here.
So let's dive into it, scaling and optimizing campaign testing with the power of AI analytics. So introducing new products, lowering product prices, entering new markets. Companies don't make these decisions at random. Most successful businesses make this decision after collecting and analyzing valuable information from their data. And with AI becoming a buzzword in the world of analytics, what does it really mean? And how can AI help businesses derive insights from their data more effectively and accurately?
So, first of all, thank you for having me. It's an honor to be here. The reality is, it's not just analytics that are seeing a rise in the buzzword AI. Pretty much every facet of life is kind of having a moment right now when it comes to AI. You can't turn around without seeing something GPT this or AI that, and it's really starting to touch on the very fabric of how we do business and life and work. Marketing just happens to be very well suited for this. And there's multiple areas where AI can help, especially when it comes to data and analytics. Looking at not just the things that you're doing, but like historical trends and patterns, and picking up things that have happened in the past. Looking at real-time analysis of your strategy execution and what your customer sentiment might be, and taking that information in real time, predicting where's the puck going to, right? Where are you trying to move the needle to in a real time fashion? That's very useful for determining what campaigns were effective, how much sales or pipeline did they drive, what clearly didn't work, and it's not just the analysis of that data, but it's also the taking that information and being able to recommend a go forward strategy with that, right? Taking that analysis into account and optimizing for success. It's taking that whole wide swath of data and really determining what customer trends and competitor behavior is doing that humans just can't do that right now. And it's very well tuned to being able to pick up these micro data points that it's just hard to see in isolation. But a machine can look at it from a really high level and go, oh, well, yeah, I can see that path that flows through there in a way that we just never will be able to.
Definitely. So that was very insightful. So I'll move on to the next question. It is in line with increasing customer engagement being driven by intelligent systems, it's becoming increasingly important for businesses to leverage the power of AI analytics to stay ahead of the curve. And with digital transformations on the rise, do you think integrating AI with analytics can act as a catalyst for this transformation? And also, how do AI and analytics help businesses transform their operations and drive growth?
So I love this question for a lot of reasons, but not the least of which is that digital transformation is still being talked about as a new thing. But I actually went and did some research on this because I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's been around for a little while, and we've been talking about digital transformation since 2014. It's slowly been gaining in popularity, but this has been the target for pretty much every IT and business organization is to digitally transform their organization, move things into the digital world, the digital age, if you will. And the companies that are successfully doing that, you're seeing a lot more success with. What is happening though is AI is reducing the time necessary to see those results. It's giving you a much better insight into the things that you actually need to do in order to be successful and to see that digital transformation become a reality. It allows for a much tighter feedback cycle of, how are you understanding what your customers are doing and what their preferences are at every stage of the journey, right? Whether it's when they're in the lead stage, once they're a customer, once they're in support down the road, maybe they've left and you're trying to get them back. This gives you way more detail and insight than you can look at in just, one or two customers here and there. This can look at the entire customer base in addition to, say, the entire industry, right? Maybe it's a specific industry and you want to see how do you compare against the industry trends. You're not performing as well. These are the areas you need to improve. It helps you look at and bubble up what are those inefficiencies and bottlenecks internally that are preventing you from being able to be successful, right? Because if it's saying, okay, we recognize that this is a bottleneck here and this is what you're going to have to do to resolve it, but you're going to have to make these changes, right? Some of those AI can just go ahead and do for you. Some of them are human bottlenecks and inefficiencies that you just have to address from a, human capital standpoint. And the reality is that's something the human just can't do in real time. They're just not capable of performing at that scale. You could even have an entire team of people, and they're not going to be able to do it at the speed and pace that the AI systems can do that at. Especially if you're feeding it more and more data, because a good AI system is designed to learn with you as you're going. So it's going to help you do that not just today, but tomorrow and every second from here to eternity until you turn it off. That's something no human will ever be able to do that, and that's amazing to me. The big thing though is, in order for it to be successful, you really have to have a strong plan for how do you manage the security and privacy of all that data, and how do you prevent unintended biases from getting into your data set, because there's a lot of, even unintentionally, you can introduce bias. Maybe that's because you're only using a certain data set, and that data set has certain biases built into it that you don't realize. So having as wide a swath of data as possible and as many different data sources and variety within that set is super important. So
Definitely, that's very thoughtful. So, as businesses across industries seek to gain a competitive edge through data driven insights, the use of artificial intelligence in analytics has become more prevalent. So, what's your say on how organizations can leverage AI analytics to gain a deeper understanding of their customers, anticipate their needs, create more effective and personalized marketing campaigns?
So, as I previously mentioned, AI is becoming important across the entire business, right? It's marketing is one aspect of that, but at the end of the day, it all boils down to the data that you're collecting, and where it's collected, how it's stored, how the AI system is trained. All that needs to be carefully planned and thought through, because once it's there, it allows you to have so many more possibilities. That data doesn't have to just be, oh, I'm just taking all the things that we use for reporting purposes and feeding it in. And that could be, customer transactions logs, so very structured data, things that have a very defined pattern to them, right? Or unstructured, right? Whether it's social media posts, customer feedbacks, forums, things that are one-off type of events and things, but allow you to get a much better insight into how your customers perform or behave over time. Um, a good example of this start to finish is, you can look at over a wide variety of sources, what's your customer browsing behavior? How do you look at, what they're doing? Customer journeys are a thing, right? So how do customers use your site? How do they go about buying this, not just on your platform, but other platforms? Um, how do you build that flow and let it optimize the flow accordingly? So, right, you refine your systems, but then that then looks at, okay, I made these refinements and these optimizations. Then you spin out the marketing campaigns that go with those and allow them to take advantage of those optimizations. Then those campaigns are monitored in real time to take advantage of how are we being effective? How do we adjust on the fly? So, okay, this thing is not performing as well over here. So now we're going to make some tweaks and do it this way. That's great, but that process never ends. And the greatest part of that whole sequence I just defined, nobody touches that from a human standpoint. Once you feed that set of instructions into the system and say, this is what I'm trying to do, it just goes and does it for you, right? It monitors that customer behavior, monitors the trends and things that it's doing, and the marketing campaigns that are influencing it, and the customer journey that you're sending them through in your platform, and making adjustments in real time. And then, oh, we need to make some more adjustments. And it's just this constant push and pull. But a human doesn't have to do that, right? If we do that from a human standpoint and we try and do that ourselves, that's a 1, 2, 3 week process just to make a single individual change sometimes, because of all the elements that are necessary to go into it. AI can do it on the fly. And that is very exciting for some of the stuff it allows to do. Again, though, this is one of the compliance challenges we have to think about, right? There's a lot of transparency that's needed to be effective here.
Definitely. So towards the end, in today's fast-paced digital landscape, customer journeys are becoming increasingly complex and difficult to navigate. I know we just discussed about this. Even in the previous session, David was mentioning about customer journeys. So, could you share your take on how organizations can effectively combine descriptive, augmented, and predictive analytics to gain a deeper understanding of their customers and simplify the modern buyer's journey, right? And how this approach can be integrated into the overall marketing and sales strategy.
Yeah, so I will try and we've got just a few minutes here, so I'll try and run a bunch of stuff in. But I'm from a QA and testing background. Customer journeys are very important to understanding how your system is supposed to work. None of this is new, right? All of these things that we've been discussing today, all of this is stuff we've been doing for a long time. There's a article from about 11, 12 years ago where Target was able to predict that a teen girl was pregnant before her own parents knew that was the case. That was 11 years ago, before AI was even involved, and they built this model that was able to predict this. AI can do that on the fly now. Like that's not even hard for them. So it's really, how do we start looking at that as a case in point for, like, these are the things that we could do, but let's be open and honest and transparent about it, because this is going to be the future. We're moving in this direction. We've got to figure out how we do it successfully without creeping people out. And that's going to be probably the hardest aspect, because the AI part of it, I think we're reaching a point where that's becoming a table stakes now.
Sure. Those were very insightful thoughts, John. Thank you very much. So we are just at the end of the time. So any parting thoughts before we close this session?
I got 3 really quick ones. If you want to drive your business around this, create and foster a culture where data is at the center of everything that you do, and you're collecting that data responsibly. Start small, test, iterate, repeat. And at the end of the day, be open, honest, and transparent about what you're doing with the data and how it's being utilized.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, John. With this, we conclude this
Absolutely,
session.
guys.
Over to you. Over to you, Monal. Thank you, John.
Thank you, Lavish. And wow, that was a riveting discussion. AI can surely take your campaign testing and optimization efforts to the next level. Thank you, John and Lavish, for these incredible insights. Let's now go back to the lounge area and join our next panel discussion titled Marketing Analytics, your key to measuring and amplifying your campaign performance. You surely wouldn't want to miss this. I'm reminding you again, please head over to the booth and lounge area to connect with our experts, and you can even stand a chance to win an Amazon gift card.